In this lecture, we're playing around with our audio, so when we hold down the space bar, it plays the thruster, and when we let go, it stops the thruster noise. Let's do some audio. We're going through some important programming concepts in this lecture, but they're things that we've covered before or you will probably know already. So I'm going to give you a reminder of some things we'll be using and then a challenge. So here are some things we'll be using. The audio source component, so we'll have to get that component and save it as a reference or to cache it as a reference. We'll be using the method AudioSource.Play to play our audio and AudioSource.Stop to stop our audio. We'll be using an if-else statement. So we start off by saying, if this thing is true, then do this, else, which is another way of saying otherwise, do this thing instead. And also we'll be using the not operator, which is an exclamation point to say not this thing. So there's a reminder of some of the ingredients we'll be using. Now for the challenge. The challenge is to play the sound effects when we're thrusting and stop it when we're not thrusting. So first of all, cache a reference to the audio source, and I'm going to call mine audio source with a small a and a large S. And then we want to use AudioSource.Play to play when we are thrusting, and use an if statement and the not symbol. So not audio source is playing is allowing us to access a property. Are we playing true or not playing false? So we're saying here not audio source is playing is another way of saying if it's not playing, to make sure we only play if we aren't already playing, or else we'll have audio source play on top of audio source, play on top of audio source, and you have 7,000 rocket boosts going at the same time. And that's not the best effect, I don't think. And just a reminder again that the exclamation mark here is saying not true. And then to use an else condition and AudioSource.Stop to stop our sound effects when we aren't thrusting. So there's a lot of information I've given you just now. I wanted you to take this on yourself, to do this as a challenge, so that you're in there, roll up your sleeves, giving it your best shot, and really having these concepts embed into your brain. Audio is a fairly straightforward, simple concept, so I think this is a good one for you just to dive in and give it your best shot. So there's the challenge. Pause the video. I'll see you back here when you've given it a go. Now, I'm going to jump over into my movement script, and up at the very top where I've got my rigid body, I'm caching a reference to that. I'm going to cache a body to my audio source. So I need to find of type audio source, and I'm going to call it audio source. The audio source here is the variable with a small a, and audio source there is the type with a large or uppercase A. Semicolon. Now within start, I need to access that. So we will use audio source equals get component. The hint is right above, we've got our get component rigid body. So get component audio source, parentheses, and semicolon. Now we've got that component and we're saving it or storing it as audio source, making it a reference. Scrolling down, let's see, where do we need to make our audio play? Well, we're processing our thrust, and we're saying when you press and when you're being shoved up in the air, then that seems like a pretty good time for us to play our audio. So I'll do the physics first and then the audio second. So we've got our RB relative, add relative force, and now in here I need to use simply audio source, allows us to tap into that component, dot play. It's as simple as that, and semicolon. Now we don't need anything in the parentheses and we don't need anything more complicated, because all we're doing on here, where's my player? Scroll down on our audio source, we've dropped in just this one audio resource, the main engine thrust. That's all we're doing. There's nothing more complicated than that. So we're just saying the audio source, just play whatever you've got. And later on, we'll get a little bit more complicated than that, so you can see other ways of doing audio, but this is just the really simple way of saying just play whatever your audio source is. Now let's jump back to Unity. I'll save first of all, and we'll see how that performs. So first of all, I'm going to click on my player rocket and find the audio source and make sure that play on awake is turned off, or else it's going to be playing this sound effect even if I'm not pushing down the space bar. Click on play, no sound there, that's good. Play, and you can hear when I'm holding down, it just gets, terrible, because I'm playing sound effect on top of sound effect on top of sound effect. So we need to have a way of saying only play it once. So back into our code here, we need to add an if statement around this audio source, which is saying only play if you're not already playing. And the way we do that is to give ourselves a new line, if, and then we use our not operator that I was talking about before, the exclamation mark or exclamation point, if audio source dot is playing. That's how we access that. That's a property to say, are you playing, yes or no? So we're asking, is it true, but not true? So therefore, is it not true then we will give you permission to play. So I need my curly braces, grab this, cut that, pop it up inside here, paste, tidy up my formatting a little bit. So if not AudioSource is playing, AudioSource.Play. Now we'll save that and see if that resolves the issue that we had. Back into the Unity, click on play, 1, 2. Yeah, I'm tapping my spacebar, but it's only playing it once. Excellent. You know what I'll do is I'm just going to go to my game window. Instead of play maximize, I'll play focused, so I can still see all my inspector over on the side. I don't need to have it maximized just at the moment. Now, the last part of our exercise was to say, okay, so if I'm pushing thrust, then play, but hey, if I'm not pushing thrust, then I think we shouldn't have the engine thrust playing, should we? So we've got if that's happening, do these things, and we need to have, at what level do we need to have our else statement? Well, we need to have it underneath or at the same line that if is. So you've got if and then else, and you can tell with the curly braces, so this curly braces here contains all of our thrust and play. And if we're not doing this, if we're not doing that, then we go on to this else statement. Else, we don't need any condition in there. It's just a straight up else. We don't need to say else something is true or false. It's just else, and then AudioSource.stop. Stop the audio source and save that there. So hopefully that code is nice and clear for you. We've got an if, press, then do these things. Otherwise, or else, stop the audio. Back over into Unity. Click on play. Okay, tap, tap, tap. Perfect. Nice. So if I hold down, it plays. If I let go, it stops playing. So there we go. That's all we wanted to cover in this lecture. Good stuff. We've done the simple implementation of turning our audio on and off and done a bit of an if-else statement in the process. I will see you in the next lecture.